God, it always takes about 3 or 4 seconds for it to actually say 1 second on the screen, so I know this thing's going. Anyway, hello and welcome to another edition of the JC Liga YouTube channel, covering the Liga Primera betting for round 2, of course. Now, the first round didn't quite go as expected. Yep, we did try and bet on pretty much every game last week. Somewhat hit and miss, bit up and down, some winners, more losers, to be honest. But it's a learning curve, and if you do want to bet on the first round of fixtures, you've got to expect that it's going to be difficult. Now, for the second bout of matches, or second batch, if you like, again, you'll have to forgive me today, as always. Probably I always say you'll have to forgive me for something, but I'm doing a sales job at the moment on a telephone, so I did well today, but it's fair to say my voice is going a bit, my larynx is tired. So we've got to knock through this pretty quickly so I can have a shower, an hour or two to myself, and go to bed before it's work again, and then paddle court tennis after. Anyway, on to the football. So Betis against Celta Vigo is the first game. Betis, of course, last week lost 2-0 away to Barcelona. Lethargic performance, they didn't offer anything going forward, although they did have a great one-on-one. Sergio Leon, he used to be at Betis as a youngster, one-on-one with the Barca keeper, and he couldn't score. It was a wonderful last-ditch tackle from Mascherano, but he should have scored. Then later on in the game, we had another chance. What's he called? Nahui or somebody blazed over, and another guy, Fabian, right at the end, absolutely no composure. Body shape was all wrong, just blasted it 40 yards over the bar when it was easier to get it on target. So unfortunately, Betis no good for their goal last week. Yep, Barca won 2-0 as expected, but I didn't want to go near any over goals or anything because I thought 2-1, 3-1. We move on. So Betis listless last week, but we have to say, new manager, Kiki Senton, former Las Palmas manager, and they've got a lot of new players, so it's going to take a few games for these players to bed in, I think. So they did play defensive. I would expect they'll go a bit more attacking at home against Celta Vigo. You've got to. So they do have a reserve, the left back who didn't play, somewhat more attacking. So expect a bit more from Betis this time. But again, it's risky to go anywhere near Betis in a 90-minute market because, like I say, the players haven't settled. We don't quite know what we're getting just yet. Now with Celta Vigo, we do know that we're getting goals with Celta Vigo. Now, last weekend they lost 3-2 to Real Sociedad in Vigo. I recommended Sociedad plus a quarter Asian handicap and over 2.5 goals. Both bets were winners. And you know, the basis of that was that Celta Vigo had been scoring and conceding a lot in the pre-season games, and Sociedad fairly effective at scoring too. Although, you know, nothing emphatic for Sociedad, but I expected it at least score a goal, and that's what happened. So Celta Vigo, all the pre-season friendlies full of goals as well. So basically, Celta Vigo, of course, new coach. A few new players. They look a bit more of a settled team, but again, they score and concede a lot, so it's difficult to trust Celta Vigo. I think both teams will score in this game, but it's difficult to back it on paper because Betis played one game, scored 0, didn't look too sharp, but again, we expect a more offensive lineup against Celta on Friday night. So basically, I'm not betting on this game. As a Betis fan, I rarely bet. Sometimes I do. If I think we're definitely going to get hammered, then I might have a bet on it. But 9 times out of 10, I won't go near the Betis game. So, look, if you want to bet on this, both teams to score is like 1.75. It's a bit short price, but both teams have scored in 5 of the last 6 games head-to-head. Again, different managers and players. No Ruben Castro this time. That could make a difference. But, look, if you're having a bet on this, I'd go for Celta Vigo plus quarter handicap, or over 2.5 goals, because the over 2.5 goals is 11-10. So my pick, if you like, is both teams to score. I'm not betting on it, but I think both teams will score in this game. If you want to bet, and again, I'm not betting, then over 2.5 goals is a pick I'd make because I think it's a good price at 11-10. If you want to bet in a handicap market, I'd rather go on the Celta Vigo side and Betis, but that isn't really a tip, it's just a preference. If you want to bet in this game, I'd go for over 2.5. I mean, Celta, because of the price, 11-10. Celta score and concede a few goals. I reckon there'll be 2 goals or more in this game, but I'm not confident there's going to be more than 2, and the goal line's a bad price. So, anyway, moving on, and we've got the old, the latest pad of paper I've been given in my current job, so making notes on that. Now, the next game is, of course, it's Real Sociedad against Villarreal. Now, Real Sociedad, as I've just mentioned, they started off with a 3-2 win away to Celta Vigo. Really, nothing has changed with Real Sociedad since last season. They haven't really bought anybody notable. Nobody notable's left. Coach is the same. Not much of a difference. On the other hand, obviously, Villarreal, they started off with a 1-0 defeat away to Levante. I think that was a Monday night fixture, wasn't it? So, Levante looked very impressive. Villarreal didn't play too bad, but Villarreal last season were very much a team that went on the road. They played for 0-0s, and sometimes they'd win 1-0. So, not a trustworthy team to win away. So, if you went near Villarreal, you need a plus half handicap. But, you know, based on recent head-to-head meetings, Real Sociedad won. at San Sebastian and Andriva reverse fixture, and it's been a pretty consistent both teams to score fixture. If I could bet on Real Sociedad plus a quarter at a decent price, I would, but the best you can find is, well, Real Sociedad minus 0.25, around about 1.9. So again, I want Real Sociedad plus a quarter. Price isn't good enough, so I've decided I'm not bothering with this game. But I do think if you're having a bet, I think both teams to score. If it's to be quite honest, I'm so tired I haven't looked up a price. So again, forgive me, you'll have to look it up yourselves. But both teams to score looks like the pick in Real Sociedad against Villarreal. But beware, Villarreal obviously didn't score in the first game, and last season they were very, very content to play for 0-0s or try and snare 1-0s away from home. So that's always a threat, but head-to-head it's a consistent both to score. So if you get a good price about it and you want to bet on this game, which I don't, I must say, then I would go for both teams to score, I think. So moving on to Saturday's games anyway. So we'll start off with Las Palmas against Atletico Madrid. Las Palmas, let me think now, they lost 1-0, didn't they, to Valencia, and player sent off, what's his name, Alan Halilovic or whatever. Ridiculous tackle, perhaps you could argue is a bit harsh, but a sliding tackle caught the player. You're always asking for trouble. Referees are clamping down not just on the language used by players to the officials, but also tackles. So he was off. Las Palmas pretty listless anyway, and they lost 1-0 to Valencia. So new coach at Las Palmas, few new players, Vitolo and others are in. But again, it's difficult to judge them. They didn't do much here. Now they've got home advantage. Last year, Las Palmas, I think, at least one of the worst three teams in La Liga. I don't have a statistics, so they're a terrible away team. So the fact that they lost at Valencia is not a shock. They did have a good head-to-head record against Valencia, winning at the Mestalla the season before, but it's not absurd. So Las Palmas at home, different proposition is my mumbled point. Against Atletico Madrid, they have had a couple of decent results recently, but generally it's a game that Atletico Madrid wins. Atletico Madrid, of course, last week drew 2-2 away to promoted Girona. Girona were absolutely excellent. We'll come to them later. Atletico Madrid, listless, pathetic. They were beaten at their own game, slow to the ball, slow, everything they did. In possession, with and without possession of the ball, Atletico Madrid was slow and ponderous. You started to think, is this going to be a bad season for them? Then Griezmann was sent off, and the team suddenly started playing a lot better, which begs the question, is there too much reliance on Griezmann? Because when he's not on the pitch, they become a bit more creative, or certainly in that game they did, eventually drawing 2-2 despite having 10 men. So I would say, look, Griezmann obviously is going to be out of this game. I think he's probably under 2.5 goals. But, Atletico need to win this game. I'm not betting on it personally. Again, I'm not going to bet on everything. I can pick these games. Doesn't mean I'm going to bet on them all. I'll tell you what I'm betting on. But look, I think if my pick is Atletico Madrid to win. But again, they didn't look too good last week. But without Griezmann, are they going to play a lot better now because they can't just rely on his goals? So wait and see with that one. It's possible I might have an in-play bet, but I've decided I'm not bothered. I'm not impressed with what I see from Atletico Madrid. Las Palmas, new manager, new players. Let's leave it alone, eh? But Atletico, if you do want to bet. Now, moving on. The next one is... the next one I've not written in order. I do apologise. So now we're going to have to scrap about and read off a list. So, actually, in no particular order then, whenever these games are. So those two were on a Friday night. We've just gone for Atletico Madrid. Another game we've got, let's just get into my tips anyway. So Girona minus 0.25 Asian handicap against Malaga. Now the reasoning for this, the price, and I put it on Twitter a few days ago. So if you only follow my YouTube channel, which is about 80 people, then follow my Twitter account, which is 16,000, because obviously it's far easier for me to put a tweet out and record a video for just simple things like, I've made this bet, you might want to get on it because the price will shorten. So the logic is this: Girona extremely impressive against Atletico Madrid. They were first to the ball. They had much more energy than Atletico. They made some good signings. Stuani, formerly of Espanyol, scored a brace. Look to threat, so they're going to look to get the ball into him to score headed goals if possible. And they were really impressive. And they are again at home this weekend, and they were against a team that was very unimpressive in Malaga. Now Malaga, as I would have said on one of the previous videos I did, they'd had a terrible pre-season. Of course, Sandro, whatever, has gone to Everton. The striker that they had from formerly of Barcelona. They have got Borja Baston on loan, who played against his former club Eibar last week, but couldn't score on Monday night. So basically, Malaga, I think they'd won 1 of 8, 9, 10 pre-season games. So look, a coach isn't happy. He says they don't have enough players. They need to make some new signings. The owner's not prepared to make the signings he wants. So they're not looking good. Morale's low, the team's not playing well. They lost 1-0 at home to Eibar on Monday night. So for me, it's impressive promoted newcomer against established team playing pretty bad and with low confidence. So stranger things have happened. If we could back Girona plus half Asian handicap, it'd be absolutely the ideal bet. Even Girona draw no bet would be more attractive. And at first I thought, well, I want a draw no bet really, just in case it's a draw. But look, it's not easy picking these second round matches. You know, I could narrow it down to 3 or 4 really good bets and the rest you're guessing with. And I think this is one of the better ones, so I'm prepared to take a chance. So Girona minus 0.25 Asian handicap, again 1.95 when I backed it. I don't know what it is now. What that means is, if you're not familiar with Asian handicap betting, is that if Girona were to draw the game, you would lose half your stake instead of all of it. So it's basically, it's like a half draw no bet, if you like, or something to that tune. But against a Malaga team with no confidence and in very poor form, it's a logical pick again. So moving on now. Now again, I forget which is Sunday and Saturday and Sunday again. You'll as always have to forgive me as I ask so often. The Real Madrid against Valencia is probably the last game on Sunday. Actually, that one, because it's that kind of. It'll be the last game on whatever date it's on, because that's prime time national TV stuff. So Valencia have a very good record against Real Madrid, even drawing with them a few times recently. They're not. They don't get destroyed at. The Bernabeu. It has happened a few times, but Valencia basically, without even looking, I know that Valencia's got a very good record, or a better than you think record against Real Madrid. The problem at the moment with Real Madrid is they're quite clearly the best team in the world by a long distance, I'd say. So, alright, some of you might say Man United, but Man United were no good against Real Madrid. So Real Madrid is the team right now. So it's not the time to take Real Madrid on at all. Now, they did play midweek. Some of the players did. Well, Ronaldo, because he's not going to play in this game because he's still suspended. He played against Fiorentina, to be quite honest. I watched a bit of it. It was 2-1 for a while, and then I've got other things to do, so I didn't pay much attention to it. I don't know what it finished up. A few other players featured, not enough to make any real difference, but Sergio Ramos is definitely not going to play against Valencia this weekend, because he's sent off obviously against Deportivo, and the usual Real Madrid appeal has failed in this instance, so he isn't going to play, which is a big loss from defensively. But again, Real Madrid are red hot at the moment. So to compensate for this, and to account for the fact that Real Madrid against Valencia is consistently above teams to score fixture and consistently over 2.5 goals, there are 2 bets. Now I know for sure the price has moved on both, so you have to see what you can get, whether you deduce it as value. Again, I put these on Twitter a few days ago, but Valencia plus 2.25 Asian handicap, so 2.25. So Real Madrid could beat Valencia 3-1 and we'll still get some profit out of that. 2.5 would be better, because then a 2-goal loss results in a 4 win, pardon me. But I expected a line at 2, so 2.25 I think is decent value. Valencia started well, as we mentioned, under Marcelinho. He's going to play similar tactics to what he did at Villarreal, where the team's going to play, they're going to win 1-0 and 2-0 a lot. They're going to be quite happy, try and be sound defensively, score counter goals, and then keep possession and run the clock out, basically. So they were impressive against Las Palmas last week. Valencia also making some good signings midweek. Muriel, the defender from Inter Milan, and Kondogbia, who apparently, well, when he was at Inter Milan anyway, he was a coach there, not Koeman, was it Koeman? Frank de Boer, Ronald de Boer, one of the de Boers anyway. I remember he said Kondogbia didn't listen to instruction. He told him not to do this, not to do that, and he just didn't pay any attention. So I don't know whether he's somebody that doesn't follow instructions well, or he didn't like his manager, but certainly when he was at Sevilla, he was a quality player, sold to Monaco, wasn't it, I think, before he was moved on from there. So Valencia's making some good signings, albeit loan signings. It's been an impressive start, and I think we'll do well. If you remember, somebody asked me, I might have done a Periscope for this, I can't remember if it was a Periscope or a YouTube video, but it's on my timeline. Somebody asked me about Sevilla for 4th, and I said you might laugh at this, but Valencia at 50-1 is a reasonable outside bet. So I don't know what the price is now, but I think they might be worth a little punt if they're still giving a silly price. They're definitely worth a little. If it's 50-1, definitely have a tenner or something on them. It's a ridiculous price. They probably won't be, but I would say if anybody's giving above 10-1 on Valencia, I think it's worth a punt, definitely. Europa League is more realistic, so you'll have to have a look at that. Again, my time is pretty limited at the moment. Well, anyway, so Valencia plus 2.25 Asian handicap against Real Madrid. Good head-to-head record against Real Madrid. They don't get absolutely hammered, well, not recently anyway. And it's consistently both to score and over. So the other bet is, as you would imagine, both to score and over 2.5 goals. In Madrid against Valencia, 1.91 price when I backed and tweeted. 5-6, not very long after, about an hour after I said it. Don't know what the price is now. You'll have to check yourselves. So that's my tuppence for that game. Now, so basically, Girona minus 0.25, Valencia plus 2.25, both to score an over 2.5 in Madrid Valencia with the first picks I made. Definitely on them straight away. No second thoughts about those whatsoever. No, nothing at all. So definitely. Now the bets I'm also going to bet on, I think, are worth a punt, are as follows. Now Levante minus 0.25 Asian handicap at 1.93. Now, Levante started off extremely well. They defeated Villarreal. They looked very good, well organised, full of energy. I was quite impressed when I watched them in Segunda. You might remember on my Twitter feed we had a few Levante draw no bets away from home, and they generally obliged. So, a decent team against Deportivo. Now, Deportivo, they do have goals in with Andoni, but he missed a penalty last week. 2 or 3 really good chances. He could have had a hat-trick. So, maybe Andoni springs to life this weekend, but the way I see it, you've got Deportivo, who weren't an effective team at winning away from home last year and didn't have a good start against Real Madrid, against a team that's had a very, very impressive start in Levante. So again, this is why this is not as good a bet as Girona 0.25. Depor's got a bit of firepower with Andoni. Maybe he's firing blanks again. But, you know, I've watched plenty of Depor performances with a very similar team to what we've got now last season, and they were pretty listless. Pepe Mel's a good manager, so he should be able to get something out of them. So, okay, if we could have Levante draw no bet, that would be more ideal. But again, this is worth a punt, not the favourite bet. So that's how I've categorised it this weekend. Favourite bets, worth a punt, no bet, but can pick. So this one is another worth a punt bracket. Levante minus 0.25 at home to Deportivo. Impressive promoted team, home advantage. Depor not so great weight and bad start. The next bet we've got, and I think the price has moved on this, Espanyol to beat Leganes. Now, Espanyol beat Leganes comfortably last season. They have home advantage. Leganes, they started off with a 1-0 win against Alaves. But Alaves missed a penalty, which cost us that both to score bet at 5-4. So, you know, with this one, I'm thinking Leganes, it's just simple home and away logic, basically. It's nothing. So worth a punt, I think, are Espanyol. Yep, they are lacking defenders, but they looked pretty good last week against Sevilla with Baptista, who's a very good attacker. A bit hit and miss. He misses more than he scores, but he's clearly a player with good technique and quality. And then you got Piatti, very good player who plays on a wing too. So I think they have enough to see off Leganes with home advantage. The price about that was 2.05. Again, I saw today when I looked, there's a lot of like 1.85 and stuff like that. So the price appears to have shifted a little bit. Have a look around. You can always do like minus half Asian handicap instead, which is the same thing as a win. So if that's a better price, definitely something to look at. Now, moving on to the next one we've got. Now, this is a difficult one for me, really, actually. This one nearly was in the not bothered or not a bet, but can make a pick. But I think we have to take them on a little bit. Now, it's Alaves plus 1.5 Asian handicap at 2.05. Don't have a price now, you have to check. I'll stop saying that, but look, I do these midweek and then we get to now and it's time to bang them out. So, look, Barcelona, obviously, they did win 2-0 against Betis. I told you if they'd win, they had to win for the City. It was an uninspiring performance. Yep, they were in complete control. Betis were listless, but it wasn't impressive. Look how many times the ball was to Titi on the right and he kept passing it. But I don't really know what to do. They're missing their conductors, you know, their composers, their playmakers. Too many players missing. So again, Suarez misses out this weekend. Obviously, Neymar's sold and Barca are now seeing him and they're having a little arguments with each other and etc. Suarez is out, like I say, Iniesta's also not likely to feature. So this is a Barcelona team that scraped by against Betis, but is now going to play Alaves, who should fight a bit harder at home. Alaves are going to put up more of a fight at home, obviously, certainly should in principle, than what Real Betis did. Now, I know Alaves Barcelona thrashed Alaves last year in Alaves, but Alaves also won at Camp Nou. So I think last time I did like Alaves on the handicap start, we got hammered. There was every reason to do it at the time because of Alaves, obviously strong. You know, they'd beaten Barcelona. Alaves finished 9th last year. So if there's a team at home against a much bigger team that you wanted to give a handicap start last year, it was them. Now this year, different team, few different players. Didn't score the other day against Leganes, which, as I mentioned, cost us that bet. But again, Barcelona crisis mode. Even listening to well-renowned journalists, or the ones I pay any attention to, Graham Hunter, I think, is the best one, and Guillaume Balaguer. Balaguer's obviously been on Sky for years. And I managed to catch that Revista de la Liga thing, which I used to watch years ago, because really that was like the only outlet for Spanish football. Before Beckham went there, before all this stuff, he used to have a 2-hour roundup on Sky Sports, presented by David Bobbin and Guillaume Balaguer, and he used to spend a few minutes on each game discussing every game. So it was wonderful for me when I was starting out. So now it's very different. The Canada programme, it's come back. It's on English TV, so apologies if you're not English, even though I live in Spain and I've done for a long time, bar a brief stint back in England. So it's now a very condensed version, I think. Was what basically Sky Sports has spent all the money on Premier League football, so they can't afford to pay journalists and things like that, or presenters. They've had to reduce some co-lot of a programme. They don't even show ATP tennis, I don't think. Well, they don't show the US Open, that's for sure, on Sky. Anyway, my point is, on this condensed version of Revista de la Liga, which I caught for the first time in a long time, Hunter was saying it's close to mutiny, pretty much, at Barcelona. So, look, you can't argue with this, but I think when I had a bet, I had Alves +2 or something like that last year. Now the line is +1.5, so not as much of an advantage. Well, it wasn't last year, but you take my point. The bookmakers are well aware of Barcelona's form, of course. Well, basically, it's just whatever Betfair comes up with prices, and traders just copy that. So there's not much of an art to trading or messing about with prices anymore. But the Betfair, whoever comes up with a Betfair price is formed via I think Asia and the East that's where the handicaps come from, isn't it? So I think that's basically where everything stems from, the handicaps in Asia, and then bookies copy Betfair prices and just go a little bit lower. So what my one mumbling point is that really, is you could perhaps argue is of a value under normal circumstances is a value with Barcelona -1.5 and not -2 or 2.25. But they're playing so bad, and this talk of mutiny and being away from home means that, look, we're going to take a stab. It's worth a punt. It's not a 5-star bet, but I'm going to take a stab anyway, or I have done anyway. So Alaves +1.5 at just over evens against hapless mutiny like Barcelona. Now, of course, we could get scorched. That's how you play the game. Now, moving on to the next game, which is Eibar against Athletic Bilbao. Now, my pick, I've made the pick in this, but I haven't bet on it, so you take this with a pinch of salt. Eibar Nord, draw or Asian handicap, or draw no bet if you like, against Athletic Bilbao. Athletic Bilbao, bad start, drew 0-0 at home to Getafe last weekend, and they'd played Europa League a few days prior to, away to Panathinaikos, who rested a few players. Top boy Adjarif came on, couldn't make any difference, didn't score, ended 0-0. Will they do the same this weekend? Because as we speak now, they were 1-0 up last I checked. Athletic Bilbao are playing Panathinaikos at the new San Mamés, so are they going to rest a load of players again at the weekend? I think wait and see. Well, basically, I don't want to make a pick in this game. I don't want to place a bet, more so, until I see what happens. Maybe somebody breaks a leg, Algeris breaks a leg, and I'm like, yeah, this is even more reasoning to get on Eibar +half, because it's him or Raul Garcia scores a goal, or there's not really many other options. What's his, San Jose, a defender if he plays or whatever. So look, Eibar, impressive start against Malaga. Played well, looked pretty good, and a good team last year. A few changes, but I think Eibar draw no bet 0 is a sensible option. Home advantage. Athletic Bilbao might rest a few players, possibly tired, but I'm not going to bet on that. So take that as you will, because they're still playing as we speak, and I want to see what happens afterwards. That one I will confirm on Twitter. So that's not worth a punt at the moment, but that is what it's likely to be. So basically, I think we are nearly done. Now, there is one game left. We've covered everything, haven't we? The one left is Getafe against Sevilla. Now, Getafe started off a return to La Liga Primera with a 0-0 against Athletic Bilbao at San Mamés, of a new one, as I've just mentioned. But they did score a goal, like a legit goal. The ball crossed the line. Of course, in Spain, they're not accepting VAR, the video replay, whatever, at the moment. So they had a legit goal ruled out, but otherwise, they haven't scored this season. All right, they've only played one game, so 0-0. Sevilla, on the other hand, have played 3 competitive games this season. They won 2-1 away to Istanbul, whatever they're called, and then drew 1-1 with Espanyol last week. And we had Sevilla -0.75. I was incredibly disappointed. They did have village idiot Ever Benega sent off. He fell foul of the don't abuse the referee thing, and he was sent off, so that could have affected us. But really, they should have been winning before that happened with the new striker, I forget his name, whatever that Colombian striker guy's name is, they brought in, hitting the woodwork, and spurning a few really good chances. Pardon me, the indigestion. So, Sevilla should have won against Espanyol last week, but they're not winning, and they're conceding goals against everybody. In the second leg game with the Istanbul team, 2-2 draw midweek, which was enough to see them into the next round of the Champions League. But again, 3 games played from Sevilla, both teams to score in all of them. Getafe haven't scored a goal yet, so hard to trust them. But last year, and in the last few years, if you like, Sevilla have been a very good team for both teams to score away from home. Not a team you can trust to win away from home. I mean, I think they went like quite a while. From one Europa League to the next without winning an away game in one Europa League final to the next Europa League final without winning an away game in Spain, I think a year or two ago. So not a trustworthy away team, especially not given what we've just said. And of course they played midweek, so did they rest a few players like they did against Espanyol? Wait and see. I mean, I think the pick in this game is both teams to score. But the price is like 1.67, so it's too short a price for a pick. It's either both teams to score or oppose Sevilla with Getafe plus half Asian handicap. But I like the both teams to score. The price isn't acceptable. I don't know what kind of team Sevilla's going to field, so no bet in that one. So that's basically it. So I'll recap all this for you and I'll put a tweet out because although anybody watching this now, you want to know the reasoning, there's so many people on Twitter that just say to me, well, can you tell me your tips again? Or the play button doesn't work or stuff like that. So I'm going to tweet them as well for these people. But look, so let me find the appropriate page. Do apologise. So favourite bets, Girona minus 0.25 Asian handicap against Malaga. Valencia plus 2.25 against Real Madrid. And both to score and over in Valencia and Real Madrid. Now, bets classified as worth a punt, so they're worth a bet, but I'm just not as confident. Levante minus 0.25 Asian handicap against Deportivo. Espanyol to win against Leganes. I think it will. Alaves plus 1.5 against Barca. And that's basically it. So 6 bets. Eibar against Athletic Bilbao I'll come back to. I get in my sales job, my new one, I get every Sunday off, so I'm pretty sure it's on Sunday, so we can deal with it then. Otherwise, we're saying in Betis and Celta, both to score looks like the natural pick, but Betis haven't scored yet, we don't know what we're getting. Over 2.5 offers a bit more value, but a decent price for you to, an above evens price. So I'm not betting on this game. This isn't a tip, take it as you will. Well, this is how I've categorised it. Favourite bet's worth a punt, no bet but can pick. So take it how you like. Over 2.5 goals, 11 to 10 in that one, I think. And Real Sociedad against Villarreal, I nearly tipped minus 0.25 Real Sociedad, and then I realised, God, I must be tired because I thought I'd gone for a quarter plus a quarter. So, look, both teams to score in Real Sociedad Villarreal if the price is acceptable. I haven't had the time to check, but I wouldn't expect Sociedad to lose. And that's basically it. And then Getafe Sevilla both to score, but I'm having a bet. So those 3, Betis Celta, Atletico Madrid to win at Las Palmas. Both teams to score in the Getafe and Real Sociedad games. Those are all no bet but can pick. So I'm saying that doesn't count, but it counts as advice. But I'm not going to start saying, "Yeah, great pick on this," because I haven't bet on it or tipped it. I'm just saying, look, if you want to bet, that's my conclusion. The other stuff I'm more confident with, or I think it's worth betting on. Anyway, apologies for this intensely long, amateurish, babbling YouTube video, but that's what you get with me until I get a studio or something like that. If it's indeed ever worth doing, really, then we're going to have to make do with Kaka and the Riquelme shirts. And I assure you, I've got more than 200 football shirts in my dad's house in England. Athletic Bilbao Centenary, Espanyol Centenary, Barca Centenary, Romario on the back of a shirt. I've got Redondo on the back of one. I've got some real classic stuff, but I just, can only fit so much in the suitcase. Anyway, thank you for viewing, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Of course, only ever gamble what you can afford to lose, and bear in mind it's tough at this stage of the season. After round 2, we then have an international break, which isn't good because you're just starting to work stuff out, and then poof, we're all away for international games, and God, nobody likes international games. Well, you don't if you're English anyway, because it's painful watching the English national team, or you just expect nothing from it. So I have no enthusiasm for international football, I must say. Maybe you're from a smaller country and nation's doing well and it excites and stuff. I'm not bothered. Anyway, thanks again. Good luck with the bets. Take care.